श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। सद्गुरु श्री साईनाथ निशरत बाबू जी की जय। Rose Petals, Volume 5, Chapter 7. Sadguru, Window to the Sky. Devotee. Guruji, should we focus more on the Guru's form or his state? Guruji. Here again is the old classic dilemma. Form or formless? Saguna or nirguna? This or that? Is it Bhagavan's or Sai Baba's form we are devoted to? Is the form even necessary? Bhagavan himself said that he was the formless one. When someone asked him, Bhagavan, what is your true nature? He said he was not the form there on the sofa. Why limit Ramana to these 6 feet, he said. Ramana is universal. So it is quite clear his real form is formless. In a similar way, Baba said, whoever thinks this 5.5-foot body is Sai Baba hasn't seen Sai Baba at all. So his form is not Sai Baba. Then, should we look upon him with form or as formless? Is it possible to think about Ramana Maharshi or Sai Baba without their form? Recently in a satsang, I used the analogy of a window to explain the function of the Sadguru's form. Your conditioned state is like living in a room without a window or a door. You feel suffocated. This is our fundamental problem. We feel limited and want to look out and be free from this condition. A window is needed, and that is the form of the Sadguru. And when you look at the window, you are actually looking through the window, and what you see is the formless, unbounded sky outside. Sai Baba is such a window. When you look at him, it's not just his form, it's what you can see beyond it. So a Sadguru, the form of the Sadguru, is a window through which you can see your true self, the realization of your abstract ideal of fulfillment. So try to know the significance of form, the significance of the window. Don't cherish any aversion towards form. The Sadguru's form is a window through which you can see the unbounded. It is needed. It is indispensable. You can't do away with it. If you try to see the sky in a closed, windowless room, all you'll see is your own imagination, your own concept of what is outside. You may imagine, oh, it must be like this or it must be like that, but it can never be the reality. Reality is non-conceptual. It is not experienced by thinking. So in the process of concretizing it, you need a concrete means. Devotee. So is it necessary to have a living Guru? Guruji. Yes, as long as you are also living. If you think you are alive and other people are also living, you need a Guru. And if you ask, what about Ramana Maharshi? He didn't have a living Guru. My reply is, he had a living Guru, Arunachala. Arunachala was so alive for him that it changed his whole life. Bhagavan's is an exceptional case. He had come to such a level of maturity that he could experience even a mountain as his living Guru. Most of us are not at that level. If by some stroke of grace you experience the mountain as a living Guru, then it is okay to connect yourself in that way. It all depends again upon your need. Devotee. And what about the Buddha? Did he have a Sadguru? Guruji. He did not have one. He was one of those rare souls, but he never advocated not having a Sadguru. Even though he didn't have a living Guru and didn't reach realization with the help of one, he advocated taking refuge at the feet of a Buddha. That is the meaning of the first of the triple refuges that you recite to become a follower of the Buddha. The first advice is to seek the feet of the Buddha, to love and take refuge. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. The second is Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, to take refuge in truth, the Dharma. Here, you try to understand that the Buddha is only a window and what is expressed through the window is the dharma. You try to absorb the dharma and understand the true nature of things. Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. Then, because you are so easily influenced by your environment, you need something which protects your love for the Buddha and what was expressed through him. That is, you need the protection and support of the Sangha, the community of devotees. So, thirdly, you take refuge in the Sangha. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. By reciting the three refuges, you become a true follower of the Buddha. That is, if you follow them perfectly. So the Buddha advocated a path of refuge. Sharanam, Sharanam, Sharanam. You have to take refuge, take refuge, take refuge. And now people say taking refuge is not connected with the Buddha at all. At the same time, they are saying Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Is it not a path of refuge, of surrender, of bhakti? In the beginning, middle, and at the end, it is a vast ocean of love. So it should be clear that it was not just what the Buddha said that made people follow him. What people got and what he gave was something beyond verbal teachings. That is why, after coming to him and seeing him, even great Pandits, Vedic scholars, and Shramanas gave up all their learning, their religion, everything, and became followers of the Buddha. All because of their love for him, for Gautama the Buddha. If we consider only the sutras, we miss the life in it. And if we have a little common sense and think about it, we'll immediately know it could hardly be only the teachings that transformed so many hundreds and thousands of people. It was something else. It was the Buddha's compassion for humanity, the love he shared all those years. Those who met the Buddha experienced what he shared, and out of their love for him, they renounced everything and became monks. They had so much love they couldn't think of anything but the Buddha. One day, somebody went to the Buddha and asked him, "How can you tell whether someone is a Buddha, a realized person? How can I know if someone is my Sadguru? What is the criterion?" The Buddha started giving various points but negated each one. Is it because of performing miracles? One need not be a Buddha to perform miracles. Is it because of explaining Vedanta philosophy in a glowing manner? Anybody who's got the gift of the gab can explain it well, even an actor if you give him a script. Someone can be very bright, a good speaker, a good teacher, but not necessarily a Buddha. Finally, the Buddha said that the one in whose presence you experience a sense of security and fulfillment without any basis, without any reason, he is a Buddha. You simply can't judge by outward signs or actions. Devotee. Guruji, where is Baba's presence most strongly felt? Guruji. Actually, Baba's presence is everywhere, but you experience it differently depending on place and time. For instance, during one visit to Shirdi, you feel it more powerfully in Dwarakamai. During the next visit, you feel it's very good in Lendi, then at another time in the Chavadi. Then, next time you feel, there's nothing like the Samadhi Mandir. Then again, it can change. It depends on how we are feeling in the moment, on our patterns, our needs. So wherever you feel drawn, you can stay there. It's not that Baba's presence is only in one place or that one place is better than another. Baba's presence is like fire. Its heat is always burning, but you don't always feel it so easily. It's not always palpable. For instance, the light bulb at the back of this room is actually burning hot. Go and touch it and you'll experience this. Its heat is also there at the front of the room where we are sitting, but you can only feel it if you are sensitive enough. In the same way, if you are sensitive enough, you can experience Baba's presence wherever you are. There is no need to go to Shirdi. Devotee. So proximity does make a difference? Guruji, yes, proximity makes a difference. If you think that it doesn't, why did you come all the way from Tiruvannamalai to see me in Tirumala? What difference does it make? You tell me. Devotee, it makes a huge difference. Being near a living Sadguru makes his presence much more palpable. Guruji, yes, it could be. Devotee, and yet his presence surely does not diminish when we are at a distance or even when the Sadguru leaves his body. Guruji, that's true. Even when they are in the body, the saints are not confined to the body. It is because they are not limited to the body that they are saints. Those who are confined to the body have to go to them to realize they are not bound by the body. As long as we are not free of this body, the presence and proximity of the Sadguru is needed. Devotee, Guruji, is it recorded that Sri Ramana said before he died, "They say that I am going, but where can I go? I am here." Is it true that here means wherever we are? Guruji, when Bhagavan said that, it wasn't his intention to speak about his state, but rather to console the devotees who were in anguish because they saw he was about to leave his body. To them, it meant he was going away and wouldn't be there anymore. So, in order to comfort them, he said, "I am here." But when saints speak like this, it can always be understood on more than one level. If you go into it more deeply and understand Bhagavan's statement in a more profound way, here means everywhere. He responded similarly in other contexts. Just read his answers to the devotees when they invited him to America. They showed that he was everywhere. So, on the human level, when he was dying and the devotees were very sad, Bhagavan consoled them with love and affection, assuring them that he would be here always. At a deeper level, he was pronouncing what his real state was and what it is and will always be. With the words of the saints, there's always more going on than the current context. One meaning is appropriate to a particular context, but when you go deeper, you find more and more meanings, infinite levels of meaning. Devotee, what is the connection between the historical Sai Baba and our experience of him now? If Baba is really everywhere, why do we still relate to Baba's historical form and go to Shirdi? Guruji, because we still see him as Sai Baba with that form and those features, with that headdress and wearing that kafni. That is Baba for us. All the other things related to that form are also part of our experience of him. Devotee, even the sense of presence? Guruji, yes, even the sense of presence. And the other thing is, anything connected to him we call holy. Even though Baba said, "Those who think I'm only in Shirdi haven't realized me at all," but still he was in Shirdi. And when Baba was so attached to his Guru's form, wouldn't he know his Guru was everywhere? Why did he have to stick to Gurusthan? Didn't Sri Ramana know that Arunachala was pervading everywhere and was actually his own self? Was his self not there when he was in Madurai? Why did he have to come to Tiruvannamalai? And after coming, why was he so attached that he never left? Even a great saint like Ramana, who had realized his own self everywhere, still showed such attachment to his Sadguru's physical form. What did he say? "Arunachala is my Sadguru." And then, if we speak dry Vedanta, saying, "What is there in Shirdi? Baba is everywhere, so why go to Shirdi? It's meaningless." No doubt, Baba is not the form, he himself said it. Baba is the spirit that pervades everything, that is in all creatures. That is his real nature. The same nature that manifests in the form of Baba is trying to make us aware of itself. To do this, it takes different forms, and Baba is one of them. Don't have a phobia towards form. Truth may be formless, but why should we have a phobia towards form when we have a form and are living amongst forms, and those who taught about formlessness came with a form? Buddha Sakyamuni had a form. Devotee. It seems human form is always limited by its attributes. Guruji. You have conflict about this because you have been brainwashed by these different philosophies that stress formlessness, attributelessness, the ultimate state, the impersonal absolute. There you see only one side, not the other, so it is difficult. I can make Sai Baba formless and more abstract by calling him the Guru principle. Even though I call him Sai Baba, it really means his formless state. As Baba himself said, whoever thinks I am only this 5.5 foot body, they haven't seen Sai Baba. But because of your particular conditioning, I don't say this to you since it's not what you require. So when I say Sai Baba to you, Sai Baba means Sai Baba. That is the remedy you need now. First, accept this, find the window. I know it is only a window, but when you look at a window, you are actually looking through the window, and what you see is the so called formless. Devotee. I am not clear about what the sky is in your analogy about the window. It seems that the ultimate thing is to see the sky, and this is what the Guru reveals. But how am I to look for the sky? Am I to look within and try to feel or sense it somehow? And if so, where should my attention be focused? How to make my sense of the sky concrete? Guruji. If you feel the suffocation of being imprisoned in a windowless room, you know where to look when the window is open. Nobody needs to tell you where to look because you'll be anxiously searching in all directions, pressed and suffocated by the limitations of your own being. First, you don't feel the expansion. You just want to be relieved of the limitations, that suffocation, so your immediate relief comes from the window itself. You start loving the window and want to be near it. You put a chair there and then sit and start looking at it, experiencing the cool breeze coming through. And then slowly you look out and see the sky. You start to wonder, what is the sky? Later, you realize that even though the sky looks as if it's in the shape of the window, what you're actually seeing is the unbounded infinite. This can be a gradual process because even after experiencing the breeze, your past habits of groping around the wall make you go back again and sit in the corner. Again, you'll feel suffocated and want to go back to the window and feel the breeze. Within half an hour, you'll get used to it, and then again, you'll go back in the corner. We need to get away from the window and feel our suffocation, so on our return, we can experience the thrill of the limitless more and more. And in fact, we'll not only want to stay by the window, we'll want to go outside the room. Why do we have to stay inside? Let's go out. Then there's no need for suffocation and no more need even for the window. Because the window isn't there for itself. It is just there as an opening for us to see the reality beyond. Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki Jai. Sadguru Shri Sainath Nisharat Babu Ji ki Jai.